One of the things I love about Montclair is that we've got people from all over the world. In my experience, there's no better way to get to know someone than eating the food that brings them home. So let's cook up special dishes with the people that make up the fabric of our campus.
Hi, I'm Josh Dela Cruz, and I am a Montclair State University alum, class of 2011. I chose to attend Montclair State University for two reasons. The first reason being that it was the best musical theater program in New Jersey. And two, I was so impressed with every single production that I saw. The professionalism of the students and of the quality of the production were second to none, and that's why I knew that I needed to go to Montclair State. Ever since I graduated, I have helped develop multiple Broadway shows, including being in the original cast of Aladdin on Broadway. Most recently, I have been the host of Nickelodeon's Blues, Clues, and You, the legacy show that started over 28 years ago with Steve Burns. And none of this would have happened if I hadn't been at Montclair State University. Today, I am cooking Filipino spaghetti with President Koppell. Why? Because it is a comfort food from my childhood and I think exemplifies what it means to me to be a Filipino American. And I can't wait to taste how it turns out.
Welcome. Well, Josh, you can hear the excitement to have you back at campus. What could be a better homecoming than having our star return to campus and teach us how to do some cooking? So thank you. So we started this Cooking with Koppell, True Confessions. It's only sort of a cooking show. It's also an opportunity for the campus to get to know each other and the fantastic people who go here, students who teach here, who work here, and it's homecoming, so we thought what better way to do it than to have you come back and introduce yourself and talk about your experiences. I'm thrilled to have you here, and I'm thrilled for you to give us a little window into your background through food, which I think is a way that we all kind of get to know each other really well.
It's so good to be back on campus. I drove down from Toronto to be here, and then when I drove in from my family's home in New Jersey, it was just all smiles everywhere that I look on campus and around town. I just see different memories. Like I met my wife here. I learned everything that I needed to succeed here, and to be back and actually experience homecoming is really.
So we're going to be eating, you said, Filipino spaghetti.
That's right.
So tell us a little bit about your family background and how this dish is evocative of where you come from.
Yeah, so what's amazing about Filipino spaghetti is that I just called it spaghetti up until I found out that there weren't hot dogs in everyone's spaghetti. So that was definitely culture shock for me. But it's a comfort food. There's spaghetti and banana sauce, which is banana ketchup. And what's really interesting about this dish is that it, I think, perfectly exemplifies what it means for me to be Filipino American. So spaghetti was brought over by USGIs back in World War II. All right, so if there are any Italian Americans in the house, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Because, back in World War II, America was really obsessed with processed things, and they used ketchup in their ragu. So this is not a reflection on, really good ragu or really good spaghetti. When they were in the Philippines trying to make this ragu, they didn't have access to ketchup. Tomatoes were such a scarce resource. Right. A Filipina invented a substitute using bananas. And so they used that in the sauce, and that's why it's such a sweet spaghetti. But on top of that, the USGIs also brought over hot dogs. And so, Filipino spaghetti is just a mishmash of everything of Americana that was brought over and then adapted in the Philippines. We can't just make things that simple. I've been plant-based for about 8 years now.
By the way, I feel like for the cultural interaction, since it's New Jersey, we've got to call it gravy.
Yeah, gravy. So we have
They're never really understood.
That's right.
But that's what we're gonna call it.
Yeah,
It's
so we have some
Filipino
homemade gravy here. So we can't buy it from we can't get it from the can. So this right here is we have some Pomodoro Samarzano tomatoes. We've got garlic and basil and a ton of olive oil. So first things first, we're gonna turn our burners on.
right.
So we're gonna add some olive oil to our pans, and we're gonna do this. The amazing prep team made sure that this could not get screwed up. So everything is pretty much pre-cooked, but we're gonna
It's
put
no
it.
fun.
It's no
It's
fun.
no fun to like do a cooking show and just like dump a bowl of stuff in.
No, so I'm gonna have
So
you do a rough chop on
I'm gonna
this.
chop it a little bit more.
Yeah.
So tell us the family journey though. So how did this Filipino family end up in New Jersey?
Okay, so my parents met in the Middle East. So the Philippines, their greatest export are people. They work all over the globe, and that is how, and people would send, those families would send their families money back home in the Philippines.
Right.
And so that's how a large portion of the economy worked. And my mom is now a retired nurse, but she was a nurse and she found a posting to be a nurse in the Middle East. And so my dad, his journey was that he was a metallurgist at the time. And so he was working for an engineering company, and so they went to the Middle East, and that's where they met, through mutual friends and because they're Filipino, through church. So that's, I'm gonna add some olive oil, and then I'm gonna have you add some olive oil as well. See how loud this gets. Oh yeah, we're just gonna get a little crispy here. And add some sauteed onions, pre-sauteed onions, some sauteed green pepper. I'm gonna put that in here as well. They met in the Middle East. My older sister and I were born there. And then when I was 2, we moved to Yonkers. And my mom, I know that you're from the Bronx, my mom worked at St. Barnabas for the better part of her life.
I know that well. So St. Barnabas is in the Woodlawn area of the Bronx.
Yeah.
I know it really well, and I grew up about a block from Yonkers, so
Oh, did
that's
you really?
like basically where I grew up.
We're gonna put more beef in there.
Yeah. Beef.
Beef, the impossible meat.
Beef.
The beef.
Yeah.
And then we're also gonna put some sauteed mushrooms. Once that starts browning up and
Right.
crisping, we're gonna add that.
Got it.
We moved to New Jersey when I was about 6, and that's where I spent most of my life. Bergen County, so New Milford, New Jersey, if anybody's familiar with that. If anybody has a 201 number, represent. Represent, that's right. I went to New Milford High, and which was so close. I think we're like 20 minutes without traffic, door to door.
Is there like a Filipino community there, or?
You know what's so funny? We lived, there is a town called Bergenfield, but we did not live in that town. We lived in the town next door. So the Filipino community was my sisters and I. That was the Filipino community.
It's like the community is like a family.
Yeah, exactly. Meeting other Filipinos growing up in America, there's at the time, there were so many divisions. There were the Filipinos that were born in America. There were the Filipino immigrants who didn't speak Tagalog, and then there were the Filipino immigrants who did speak Tagalog. And it's much different now, but when we first start, like when things were happening, everybody was separate. So now what we're gonna do is, this is heating up. I think this is the longest spoon for the shallowest of pans. All right.
So when your eyes turned to Montclair, you knew you wanted to do theater? Like that was no.
Well, yes. I used to watch a lot of TV. My mom would joke around and be like, "You should be an actor." My plan was to be a music teacher.
Okay.
And so that's all that I wanted to do until first time I ever heard of Montclair as a school was because there was a student that an alumnus from New Milford High that was going to Montclair to study theater. Yeah. And he came back while he was studying to direct all of the high school musicals. And so that's how I learned about musicals in the first place. His name's Rob McClure. He's now Tony-nominated actor, original Broadway shows. Like, he's amazing. But that was the first time that any of us had ever come in contact with somebody who was pursuing that as a career. Okay. He wrote a musical that we put on called The Bagel Factory. And I was the lead of that musical. I get a scholarship to go to Paper Mill Playhouse. They have a summer music conservatory, musical theater conservatory, which took place on campus here. So, and that was the first time that I'd ever been on Montclair, the Montclair campus, and the first time I'd ever been surrounded by other peers that were pursuing musical theater. But after that summer, I realized that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
There's some kid, maybe in this room, maybe in the class yesterday, that interacted with you and is now saying, I want to do what he does.
Oh my gosh, I hope so, because I hope they're
No, I don't have a doubt, right? One of the coolest things about the university is we do have amazingly accomplished people, and they come back and interact with our students, and then they see what's possible. I mean, I think one of the things that people don't appreciate as much about first-generation students and people who haven't been exposed to the possibilities of what you can do with a university education is you just don't know what's out there.
Yeah.
And so your eyes get opened in the way your eyes got opened, and it changes what you see as potentially the future. All right, so what do we do? What do we do next?
Now we have this. We are going to start adding it into this sauce. Why don't we toss a bay leaf in there?
Okay.
Yeah. So we got a bay leaf in there. I'm going to add some chili oil into mine.
What was it like as a new student here?
So I gained my confidence because I just course overloaded every semester. I'll always thank my student advisor, Eric Diamond, who's still here, because he realized that, like, oh, you know you can take more classes. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah, if you can take up to 23 credits a semester.
Wow.
And I was like,
that's a lot.
Oh, let's do that. So I course overloaded every single semester. I'm so grateful to the dance department because they just let me take these classes. So I think in my actual major, I only had to take 4 semesters of dance and like ballet twice a week for like 2 semesters. I took ballet 4 to 5 days a week every semester that I was here.
Wow.
Like, I was just obsessed with it. And my sisters were the dancers. It wasn't me. But, you know, to your point about not knowing what is possible, I didn't know that I enjoyed dancing so much. And I didn't know what I was good at. And that's something that I tried to take with me, like, into my adulthood. And today, like, I don't know what I'm good at. So, like, don't be afraid to try something. And you don't have to be good at it when you first start.
Right, right.
And the school provided that environment where I was like, well, I'm going to look ridiculous, but I'm going to get better. Just 1% better every single day. Now we're cooking.
We're making a mess.
Here we go. I'm glad you have ponchos on.
Yeah.
So, like, let's start adding some things in here. Here we go. Here we go.
So Filipino spaghetti means just dumping a bunch of stuff.
Oh, yeah. If you're lucky enough, you can be a working actor, which is just like a regular person that sometimes people are like, oh, I think he was in that movie. It's like, oh, great. Like, that's a dream. That's all that I want.
An episode of Law and Order.
An episode of Law and Order, exactly. Yeah, how does that smell? Smell all right?
Getting it? All right, good.
Amazing. So we're going to start adding the banana ketchup. So it doesn't taste like bananas, which is pretty amazing. And
it looks like ketchup.
It looks like ketchup, right?
So it's made of bananas.
It's made of bananas and spices. Yeah, taste some. Let's see. And you're gonna start to smell.
Look how classy I'm not just sticking my finger.
Oh no, you're a better person than I would have just started mainlining. So here we go. What does it taste like? It doesn't taste like ketchup.
No.
It's like the only thing that
tastes like sweetness.
Yeah.
It has a little. There's a little.
You think so?
There's a little banana.
Okay, banana, yeah.
No, a little banana. It tastes,
but not ketchup. I feel like
No.
the only ketchup thing about it is this red.
It looks and it acts like ketchup.
So now we have sugar.
I was gonna say. I was holding my tongue because as he's saying this, there's literally an additional container of sugar.
Look at how big the salt is and how big the sugar is.
For our spaghetti dish, I'm like, this is not how I.
It's not all going in. It's not all going in. It's not all going in.
Additional sugar.
There's going to be additional sugar. So sprinkle that in. Bam! All right. So I'm going to put that in. So we're going to add some salt while you're stirring here, and we're going to add some pepper. And then some vegan Parmesan. We also have cheddar cheese, and we have our spaghetti, but the cheese goes on top. We'll plate it in this large bowl, because this is typically how I eat spaghetti, is in a salad mixing bowl. So we'll do that. So this is typically what it's going to look like. And then would you do me a favor and just put some cheddar cheese on here?
Absolutely. Again, Italians look away.
That's right. I mean, technically, this is like This is a U.S. military dish. And this is essentially what it is and what it looks like, and it's delicious. It's one of my favorite things to eat.
All right, let's eat.
Yeah, let's do it.
Wow, look at that fancy.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have to finish this entire plate.
I think we have to eat. I feel like the rules should be that we have to eat the one that we made, so we'll take that one.
I have to take the first bite only because I'm like, I have to, manage expectations here.
Okay.
This is going to be your first bite. This is also the food you should never order on a date, which is... All right, here we go. It's pretty good.
Okay.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. There's definitely some tasting that I needed to do during the cooking portion.
We didn't quite nail it, is what you're saying?
No, it's pretty good. It's all right. It's kind of like what you would expect if you went to like a fast food place to get Filipino spaghetti. Everybody has to be super silent and just watch somebody as they slurp spaghetti.
It's its own thing.
It's its own thing. It is its own thing. So my wife and I, we met at school here. She was a musical theater major as well. We didn't get together until senior year. We dated a little bit.
Can you say her name?
Yeah.
It feels really weird.
Amanda. My wife's name is Amanda. And she was a musical theater major here. We dated like sophomore year, but that didn't work out. So we just were friends. And it wasn't until, again, something about the summer before senior year that changes my life. The summer before senior year, our mutual friend got a contract to work a summer stock job, and they were supposed to film a dance reel together. So I'm in Bergen Mall, just with my mom, because Jersey, and I get this phone call from Amanda, and I was like, hey, what's up? What's going on? And so we worked on the dance reel, and there were zero expectations, and it was wonderful. We moved into the city, and that's how we both got through living in New York. We moved into a 190 square foot studio for 4 years, paying $975.
Which now would be like an insane bargain.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like, sign me up right now. We shared that studio, and we grew together and had our careers, and yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, so we have to see how this compares to what we made. And I don't want to finish up before talking about the transition from Broadway performer to all of a sudden Nickelodeon star. Like how did that happen? How did Blue's Clues? How did that happen?
It's funny because, like, you talk about, well, what do I want to do next, right? So Amanda had that, and I had that same situation. I was part of the original company of Aladdin. I took over for Aladdin. I also understudied Iago, and it was amazing. One of the best jobs I ever had. And I loved working with the people, but I also came to terms with they're never gonna move me up to Aladdin, like permanently. And so what do I wanna do next? I was like, well, I really wanna work in television. So I started taking film TV classes. I started looking for agents and meeting with agents that were primarily film and TV. And I was fortunate enough to get those agents, and they sent me the first audition for Blue's Clues. And I was like, oh, yeah, I watched the show with my sister, but I never wanted to be in children's television ever. Nothing, like Mr. Rogers was who I watched growing up, and I love and appreciate what he did for me. But it wasn't something that I aspired to. But after every single callback and working on the material, I started to feel things. I'm like, what is happening? Something is changing. And then the week of my final screen test, the Mr. Rogers documentary came out. And I watched it before a Sunday matinee. It was at like 10 o'clock in the morning at Lincoln Center Theater. And the credits started to roll, and there was a collective sniff within the 20 people that were watching it. And then I remember feeling this pit, this dread of like, because when you're an actor, you get your hopes up, you have to. But I had this pit in my stomach. I was like, dang it, I really want this job. This is the thing that I was looking for. And I was so lucky that I actually have the opportunity to do that. And I've met so many great people and learned from so many great people. And I'm so fortunate that every job that I've had, I've been able to learn from amazing and generous people. And that started here.
Yeah. We got to wrap it up. I do. So first of all, thank you for introducing me to Filipino spaghetti. Probably not going to be something I make on a daily basis.
You're going to have to come over. I'll make
But
it to you.
exactly, we can play with variations maybe.
That's right.
Maybe you can make it our own. What's your thoughts on how do you get through the harder times? How do you get through the frustrating times, the troughs, right? Because I think that's a big part of what people are navigating these days is getting through the struggles. And where do you find your resilience and your power to move on to the next day?
I fall into the rut as well. There are times where I'm like, I can't get arrested, for a lack of a better term, and I've tried. But it's one of those things where I'm fortunate enough to have a support system. My family, my wife, a community of people. So having a support system, and if you don't have that support system, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. But build it. Find the people that you are like-minded, and find people that are interested not in just the thing that you're interested in, but that are just interested in life. Because you need to live a life. If you are only happy because you're working, that's going to wear off real quick. You don't get a lot of the jobs that you audition for. I think like when I've been auditioning, we filmed our last episode in March of 2023. I've been auditioning since that time, but it wasn't until, it's so funny you mentioned Law & Order, it wasn't until like a month ago that I booked 2 different jobs, like including a Law & Order.
You're not an actor. Look, if you're an actor in New York and you haven't been on Law & Order.
That's what I said. I had to move to Toronto to get cast in Law & Order. It's so funny, but like that's how it goes. And so life can't stop just because you're not working. Find a support system. If you don't have one, like make one. And know that you're not defined whether you're working or not. You are defined by how you move through the world and how you treat people and yourself. So if you need help, get help.
Well, I appreciate that's great. That's great words to live by. Thank you so much for coming to campus. Thank you for teaching us how to make Filipino spaghetti. Fantastic, fantastic. I want to encourage people, so this is our live edition of Cooking with Koppell, but the show streams on our awesome Hawk Plus network, so you can see other episodes that introduce you to the students, faculty, and staff of Montclair State University. So I would encourage everybody, tune in. Josh, this was just fantastic.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.